Hey there, I'm Logan, and welcome to the inaugural episode of my unnamed video game review show. Now, I've never made anything like this before, so I'm going to be changing a few things as I go. It could get bumpy, so you should tighten your seatbelts. I guess I should start by saying that I'm mostly going to be reviewing games that are interesting or compelling in some way. Now, that doesn't mean I'm only going to review games that I think are good, because that would be idiotic, but it does mean that I probably won't review that many brand new AAA releases. The reason for this isn't because I'm some contrarian who only likes old games, indie games, or obscure games. It's actually quite simple. I don't play that many games. You can draw your own conclusions and play Reddit psychologist on it if you want to, but the truth of it is, there's just too many games. There are too many games that I already own that I want to play, and I'm more interested in playing those than I am paying $60 for Call of Duty 25 or whatever. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. If I play and review an action RPG that came out in the mid-2000s, I have a much better chance of having a unique take on it than I do if I play an action RPG that came out last month. Now, that's not to say I never play new releases. Occasionally, a new game will come out and it'll move straight to the top of my play next list. But that's only once a year maybe, so yeah, don't expect to see very many of those on this. Other than that, the only other qualification is that I can run it on my PC. That one might change over time, but for now just expect PC games. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk about Enclave, an action RPG that came out in 2002. Rough year to be an action RPG, since I'm pretty sure that's also when Morrowind came out, so it's definitely lost some marketability having to compete with that. When it came out, its commercial pitch was that it let you decide whether to play through the game as the light or the dark, and it included a separate campaign mode for each side, essentially being two games packed into one. Let's start it up and see what Morrowind players were missing out on. What the hell? Did I start up the wrong game? Oh, never mind. Yeah, Starbreeze Studios. They went on to make Payday 2 and one of the Chronicles of Riddick games much later. This is only their second game, and naturally, since this game came out for Xbox, we're playing the PC backport. I have to use my arrow keys to navigate the menus. Ugh. Okay, new game. I'm gonna choose the light. I usually don't like playing as the obvious good guy in RPGs, but I'm sure that during development they fully expected most players to pick the light and therefore put more effort into that than the dark. Don't worry though, I'll give the game a chance to prove me wrong. Oh yeah, we're doing both campaigns for this video. Can't wait for that. Since I'm a strong believer in not wasting people's time, I'm going to do everyone a favor here and give you the Cliff Notes version of the intro cinematic, because it's extremely long-winded, and it's one of those fantasy stories that likes to name-drop their own lore like it's some sort of big deal, even though it's the first 5 minutes of the game and we don't even know what's going on. So what's the story so far? Well, to put it simply, there was a war with a demon and his armies that resulted in a huge chasm in the land years ago, but now the chasm has begun to close over time and the war is back on. And we're in prison for not paying the ever-increasing wartime taxes. There, I saved you 4 minutes, though the whole deal with the chasm has potential. Did the people who are separated from the rest evolve their technology in a different way? Did they develop a whole new dialect? Did they all mysteriously disappear like the dwarves in the Elder Scrolls? Who knows? This game does redeem itself a little bit by cutting off this character in the middle of her edgy speech, though. Alright, here we go. I grab my sword, the ceiling attacks me, and I start slicing up little gremlin-looking creatures. Pretty good start. And I have to say, this combat is not bad. It feels a little bit messy at times, but it's better than I thought it was going to be going in. It's very basic, but I'll take basic gameplay that feels satisfying over advanced gameplay that's unsatisfying any day of the week. I like what they're doing in this room with the paintings. I think they're showing you future levels of the game. That's kind of a cool idea. Either that or they were just lazy in making their textures, so they just use screenshots instead. I guess we'll find out. The next section gives you a crossbow and has you fighting alongside an NPC archer. Both of them are almost useless. The crossbow is hard to hit things with despite being equipped with a high-tech laser sight, and the NPC mostly just gets in my way. It's fine though, since she stops following you not long after the start of the level, and since every enemy so far runs right at you swinging, we don't need to use the crossbow for anything yet. Whoa, who are these guys? We've been fighting little snotlings up until now, but these look like full-fledged orcs, only very short. Why are they so short? Looking at them in the first-person view makes them look like children. They look like if you took the Uruk-hai from that one scene of Lord of the Rings out of their gross little egg sac things before they were done growing. I was a little bit worried about the art direction in this game, since it started with black and white pictures in a book that weren't interesting and started us out in an unimpressive-looking prison cell. But I really like the look of this ceiling, and this entire room for that matter. The ceiling appears to be rendered as real geometry. Remember guys, this game is from like the 50s, so I'm allowed to be impressed by stuff like this. You know, Before I played this game, I heard someone say it was like a poor man's Dark Souls, and while I know that comparing everything to Dark Souls is a meme now, this was years ago, so I can assume that the person that says this was coming from a completely honest place. That said, it's not like Dark Souls, like, at all. If I were to compare this game to anything, I would say it's most similar to Star Wars Jedi Academy or Star Wars Jedi Knight. They both have the same run around and hit things feeling to them, and it's a good feeling to have. You have good control over your character, and you almost never feel like it wasn't your fault when you die. Though I'm finding that Enclave has the same problem as both of those games do, and it's that the combat feels a little bit random sometimes. Since everything happens so fast, it's hard sometimes to fight the urge to just run into every combat encounter mashing left click like you're some frustrated office worker. You do that in Dark Souls, you run out of stamina, you die. So yeah, not like Dark Souls. I'll talk more about the combat later though. For now, we have our first real cutscene. So we're brought before the Queen after escaping the prison during a goblin siege, presumably to face punishment, but one of the cool-looking guys in red cloaks whispers incoherently to the Queen, and she decides to make use of us instead, offering the deal that if we help repel the invading forces, she'll excuse us of our crimes of tax evasion and let us go free. Wow. Nice good guys plot, writers. We're conscripts being forced to either fight or go to prison. Really makes me feel like I'm the hero of the story. Also, what medieval court would let this oracle or whatever speak up to the Queen like that and not be fed her own fingers? That's the most fantastical thing we've seen so far besides the orcs. I'm being too harsh though, we're only one level deep. I'm gonna give this game a chance to impress me before I shit on it relentlessly. Before we head into the next level, we're treated to a pleasant surprise, an interesting gameplay loop. You might have noticed that in the first level there were gems and gold pouches I could pick up. Well, in between levels, you can use that gold to customize and build up your character. You can use it for different weapons, ammo, armor, shields. You can even bring in extra health potions if you have a lot of it. That is so refreshing. I can't tell you how many older games I've played where the collectible items just unlock some concept art or some shit. This is a very welcome addition, and on top of it, you unlock more classes to play as you go. The first one you unlock is the Huntress, and she's kind of just okay. She's got a bow, a crossbow, and a dagger, and while the bow is a lot better than the crossbow since you could shotgun fire like 8 arrows at a time and do a lot of damage, I can't help but think that it would be kind of a wasted effort to pick the Huntress over the Knight since, well, you'll see. I'll take her into this next level here. So I start shooting at our first enemy, they rush me down, and we play the all-time classic game of ranged and melee user cat and mouse. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of this game. Not only is it tedious, it's unsatisfying. Just let me kill him, game. I'm gonna hold my tongue though, because the game element of using gold to upgrade your character is giving me hope. Maybe the Huntress will be more fun to play when I unlock more stuff for her. I don't know. For now, I'm gonna tough it out for the rest of the level, which sees us through a decent looking medieval town. The lighting is great, must be mid-morning or something. Too bad I can hardly pause to take it all in, because the whole time I'm shooting enemies, backpedaling, unsure of where I'm gonna get arrows when I inevitably run out. Seriously, the whole level is tense. The climax of the level is when I get ambushed by this Sasquatch-looking thing that, of course, rushes me down and poisons me, forcing me to retreat into the sewer. I kill him eventually, but only with a handful of arrows to spare. No thank you. I think I'll be playing the Knight next time, and that's the end of the level. I guess we helped the merchant find his book or something, I don't know. After that, we're heading to some drab crypt to find this merchant's treasure. I know it's just a crypt, but come on guys, this is a fantasy game. You can make any kind of level you want to, and you made a gray, European Gothic crypt. The inside, while surprisingly well lit, has one of the easiest puzzles I've ever seen. You have to push these color blocks in order, but which order? Oh, that order. They put the solution to the puzzle right here, plain as day. Who are they trying to keep out with this? Children that haven't graduated the first grade? Colorblind people? Any thief is going to figure this out in seconds, and we do. I guess it would help keep wild animals out, but so would, I don't know, a doorknob? I get that it's a game and the solution has to be here somehow, but this is extremely weak. Even the easiest puzzles in Skyrim have some sort of gimmick to them. Maybe the level designers thought that the gimmick was that there are goblins in here? Also, I find it hilarious that in order to effectively attack the goblins, you actually have to crouch down to their height. How humiliating must that be? You're a short little goblin fighting for your life, and the last thing you ever see is your opponent copping a Slav squat just to get down to your level so that they can hit you. After we solve the puzzle, we're greeted inside by a new enemy that proceeds to poison me and wreck my shit. Thankfully, poison isn't that big of a threat in this game, and the shit-wrecking mostly comes from the fact that I let myself get cornered by multiple enemies. Speaking of corners, since now I know that you need to use gold to unlock more equipment, I find myself checking every single one for treasure. In the chests? Treasure. What about back here? Treasure. I even find a map of some kind. I wonder what it does. The rest of the level is pretty cut and dry. We find the merchant's gold, encounter some skeletons that don't attack us even though we're grave robbing, and we head back out. We unlock a new class and, oh, what's this? A bonus mission? Just for me? That's right. The map we found during the mission unlocked a bonus level. Hell yeah. The way this game encourages exploration by hiding numerous kinds of unlockables in secluded or hard to reach areas is top notch. On top of that, it's one of my favorite types of unlockables. More ways to play. The bonus level we unlocked is a survival stage and it has you fight off waves of enemies. If you make it to the end, you unlock the next difficulty, and some gold. Alright, Enclave. Well done. So what about the new class, the Druid? Let's give her a go in the next level, Forbidden Atgard, one of the cities that was destroyed when the ground opened up in the book cutscene from before. What will we see? Buildings that have halfway fallen into the shadowy depths below? Unimaginable horrors that have crawled their way to the surface when the crevice was formed? Nah, it just looks like the town from before, but it's nighttime. There's a little bit of damage, but not nearly enough. When you say that a rift was formed and the ground was opened up across the country, causing civilizations to be separated, this is what I imagine. Not this. This just looks like a tornado rolled through town. A mild one. I get that that's 2002 and system resources are pretty low at this time, but that's no excuse to have the art direction itself be weak. This is fantasy, guys, so where's the fantasy? Give me some sort of crystal caverns or dwarf mines or something. Not the town from Fable 2. I guess now's a good time to bring up the fact that this game is being remastered. At the time of writing, it hasn't been given a release date yet, but hey, you'll be able to play it on Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation. Yippee! Alright, I can't hold it in anymore. Let's talk about remasters for a sec. The word remaster is thrown around way too much these days. There are remasters of old games coming out every week, or at least it feels that way. I don't mean to sound bitter, I'm really not. In fact, I'm glad older games are being made more accessible to younger gaming audiences because it means younger gamers will be able to share more experiences with the older ones. And I think that's super valuable. What bothers me about it is the half-assedness of it all. What do you think of when you think of a remaster? Well, to me, the bare minimum requirements of a remaster are updated graphics, updated sound in some cases, and maybe some accessibility options for hearing impaired or colorblind players if they weren't in the original game in the first place. What the gaming industry seems to think the bare minimum is for them to run on newer consoles, and that's it. If you're lucky, you'll get a texture upscale that took 5 minutes for an AI to do. Hey, remember when you could play some of your PS2 discs on your PS3, or your GameCube games on your Wii? Well, there's your modern day game remaster. Again, I sound angry, and I am, but not at the fact that older games are being ported to newer consoles. I'm angry at the fact that they're using the term remaster to describe them, which is why I'm coining the term right now a report. A report, not to be confused with report, is a port of an older game to a newer console with no notable changes. Obviously, everyone can draw their own line in the sand on what they think is a remaster and what they think is a report. It's language's nature to be ambiguous sometimes, but here's a quick chart on what I think constitutes a remaster or a report. So what is Enclave HD going to be, a remaster or a report? Well, I'm actually kind of hopeful for this one, since on the webpage it says that it will feature all new achievements and updated and expanded soundtrack. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, rant over, let's get back to the game. The new Druid class looks silly, but overall I think she's pretty effective. She uses a staff that fires ethereal eagles that home in on enemies automatically. Actually, she uses 2 staves. The second one lets you summon a tree golem, which is actually awesome. He throws enemies around like they're sacks of old potatoes. I can't wait to see what else the Druid will unlock later when we have more gold. The level sucks, though. That's all there is to it. It's drab and uninteresting. We're 4 levels in, and the most interesting thing we've seen so far was the ceiling in the first level. There is a fight with an orc that definitely wasn't designed by a Warhammer 40k fan at the end, though, so that's fun. Oh, I guess we unlocked another class already. The Halfling. Guess I'll take her for a spin. I thought she was just a throwaway NPC that got killed. She's fast, but she takes a lot more damage from attacks than the other classes. Seems like a remix of the Knight class to me, not interested. I think this class exists purely because of Lord of the Rings. We unlocked a new armor for the Druid, but somehow more armor in this game is even more ridiculous. What are the breast spikes for? I feel like I've seen these in another game before, but I can't place it. Wow, hello there. Lava lakes? Dramatic choir music? Lightning flashes in the sky above? This level looks heaps better than the last, and the music is good enough. It's not amazing or anything, but this environment definitely has a mood. I'm starting to notice a pattern. Going through this game's levels is like crawling through a desert, dehydrated and desperate for a drink of water, and getting offered a mug of hot cocoa. It's not what I want or need right now, but it's definitely going to hold me over until I can find something better. Assuming there even is something better. Hot cocoa might be all we get in this game. I don't know. The fire golems are pretty neat. We look around later and find an ice sword that looks like a plasma blade from Halo, which can extinguish the little fire guys, allowing you to launch them forward at hilarious velocities. Ugh! What is that? It looks a little too Muppety in my opinion. Probably a new class we're going to unlock. He helps us out after we save him by moving this contraption. I can use the ice sword to throw the little fire minions at their dad. Overall, a very cool level. Very generic as far as medieval fantasy goes, but still a welcome addition. We unlocked the Engineer, and the sword we found was worth 1,200 gold. Sweet beans. The Engineer is a little bit more of a gimmick class than the other ones so far. He's got these different types of bombs that you can throw for different effects. He's fun for a bit. I'm definitely going to revisit him later, but right now I'm not looking for a gimmick class. It is nice to have so many options for approaching combat, though. Oh yeah, combat! I should probably talk about that at length since this is the focal point of the gameplay. The combat is good, but what makes it good? Well, I said before the combat is a lot like some of the older Star Wars games, and if you've been playing games for a while, you've probably noticed already what makes combat like that good. In a lot of games, especially old ones, when an enemy or player attacks, they will momentarily have a box-shaped trigger in front of them that tells the game whether or not they hit something. That works fine, but it isn't as interesting as what we have here. In Enclave, the same concept applies, except the hitbox is an approximation of the weapon in the player or enemy's hand, rather than just a box in front of them. These dynamic hitboxes that move with the weapon give a real feeling of authenticity and liveliness to the combat. It means that you can duck under high attacks, jump over low ones, sneak around a shield with a well-placed attack. The depth that dynamic hitboxes add to combat in games like this is so much more compelling than the box method. You can see this method being adapted now by games like Monster Hunter, Nier Automata, I think, FromSoft games, Chivalry. It's pretty common now, but back in 02, I don't know. I can't remember many games from that time that use the dynamic hitbox method. Enclave might be one of the earliest adapters of it. That, combined with all the weapon and equipment choices in between levels, is what's keeping me playing. Not the levels that look like any old village in Europe, and not the story that could be found in the notebook of a teenager with no concept of what makes for good storytelling. Speaking of which, we have more of that coming up now. This fat merchant, who is just a color swap of the other fat merchant from before, wants us to find his logbook for him or something, and in exchange he will ferry us across the sea so that we can ask another country for help repelling the invading forces. His logbook, Jesus. It's not like you need your country not to be flattened and enslaved by goblins and a literal demon in order to even continue your precious little merchant business. I hate this writing. Shit, he has a goblin locked up in a cage. That's kind of messed up. The cage goblin speaks Swedish, I think. Anyway, this level looks okay, but there's so much optimization fog that we don't get to see more than a little bit of it at a time. Which is a real problem after the first 5 minutes or so because I'm getting shot by assassins that are sometimes obscured by the fog. And they do a lot of damage. Did they just hit me through the floorboards? Run away! Come on, come on! Oh great, now I'm stuck in the cannon. Now you're stuck in the cannon. Oh, I love laughing at people that are stuck in cannons. The enemy of my enemy and all that. I'm getting shot left and right. I'm pulling out all the stops. I cheese shoot this sniper through the crate because that works for some reason. I don't know, I kind of like it when levels are buggy, but it's a problem for both the players and the enemies. Something about the shared struggle that makes the experience more satisfying. I especially like this part. I'm going through a building, making sure to kill all the enemies in it, and a cheeky assassin goes, "I'm over here," to taunt me, but in doing so actually does give away her position to me, allowing me to come at her with my shield raised. If she hadn't said that, she might have had a good shot on me and maybe even could have killed me. I think the "I'm over here" bit should be reserved for when you know the person you're saying it to won't see you the second they turn around. Like, if you can turn invisible or something. Just saying. We find the book nearby not long after that, and get shelled on our way out. I guess they have artillery in this world, but still use swords and shields for the most part, for some reason. Whew, that was a fun level. Hard, but lots of fun. The next level looks like it's going to have us visiting the other country, which could be interesting, but first I'd like to talk about the music, because something has been bothering me. The music in this game is acceptable, but it's not good though. I've been playing for hours now, and I didn't think I had heard more than 2 or 3 tracks max, but as it turns out, I had heard more tracks. They all just sound the same. A lot of them don't really go anywhere. They have a tendency to find their sound and stick with it quickly. The composer must have been really fond of his keyboard's choir sound font, because you can hear this in most of the game, actually. The song "The Divided City" is pretty good, and it deserves a better level to go along with it. "In the Name of Peace" makes me envision a villain in a comedy movie rhythmically sauntering around his lair. This song should have been the title theme. This is one of the only ones with an identifiable sound. With all the other ones, I don't think I'd be able to tell which is which without seeing the titles. So yeah, the music for the most part follows the rest of the game. Some good stuff, but mostly it's just a lack of finesse and character that fails to make an impression. There is one track though that I really liked that I found on the soundtrack called "For the Queen Tito Mix." But I played through the entire game and I never heard this one once, so I think it's a bonus track. It's good though, just listen. Hot damn, if this was the title theme, I would have been ecstatic to play this game. But no, they picked one of the most generic ones for the title theme, because of course they did. So yeah, music is kind of bad with some decent enough stuff, so it gels. Speaking of which, it's time for the 7th level. Alright, time to try the Archer again. I think I was right too, the Archer is a lot more fun to play when you have more gold, and it's lots of fun to shotgun enemies up close with a bunch of arrows. The sniper arrows are really cool too, you can zoom in with them, of course, but they also give you some information about the body part of your enemy that you're aiming at. Even going as far as to tell you what kind of armor coverage they have on that body part, so you can pick a target and do maximum damage. That's pretty cool. There are also bomb arrows now, which don't do nearly enough damage. They need to be like 3 times as damaging as they are. I mean, they're bomb arrows. I brought it up briefly before, but now that we have enough gold to afford nice equipment, the issue of awkwardly fighting a melee enemy and having trouble with them is mostly resolved. Enclave has a pretty good solution to it, too. The regular arrows you can stack up to 8 times, and they spread out. It's useless for if you're trying to hit multiple enemies at once, since they would have to be lined up perfectly for you, but it sure as hell works to deal massive damage to enemies that rush right at you. Just goes to show you that bow-wielding characters don't have to be a support class or a secondary weapon. Just give them more options like this. Dragon's Dogma does a great job with this stuff too, by giving you lots of abilities to use in conjunction with each other. Good stuff, good stuff. Is that Roman architecture? Okay. I guess it's a little bit more unique than the towns we've been to so far. Shit, they want me to participate in a combat arena to prove my worth. Maybe this wasn't the best level to pick the Archer for. I'm swapping. The Archer is viable now, but things get messy when I can't backpedal and create distance. Since we are in a combat arena, I'm gonna take time to try a bunch of the different weapon types. I actually didn't even know the difference between the weapons other than the speed until I read the manual for the game, which I didn't read until like 4 hours in. That one's on me, though. I was operating on modern game practices by assuming that all the information would be self-contained in the game. Sometimes I forget that you used to have to read the manual for older games to know how to play. The weapon types are actually even more varied than I thought. Swords are swift and easy, axes attack slower but penetrate more armor, hammers are the most effective weapon against skeletons. They're also an excellent choice for a true warrior, so I guess we know which weapons the devs liked the most. The description of the daggers is, fun. I guess they want you to stab. The manual actually has a bunch of good information. It's got all the classes and equipment along with a little bit of world building for each one of them. I recommend giving it a quick flip through if you find yourself wanting more information than I'm covering here. You know, in between starting to make this video and now, I decided to look up some Steam reviews of this game. I usually don't do this until I'm finished with a game, but I couldn't help it. I had to know what other people thought, and I was surprised to find more than a couple reviews saying that this game is similar to Dark Souls. What the fuck are they talking about? I don't get it. Are they serious? Is it because both games use dynamic hitboxes? Is that enough to be similar? Is it because it's hard? I mean, it's a little bit difficult, but it's not that hard. I feel like I'm not being an elitist here. The game isn't that hard. Yeah, after reading those and some that said the levels were stunning, I had to stop looking at Steam reviews. How dare they have an opinion different than mine? Okay, I gotta calm down. Still a lot more game to go through. At some point, though, apparently the game contained adware that would open up a browser page to Raven's Cry whenever you started it up, which is a shit show that I don't have time to go into detail right now, but oh boy. Nothing like being pestered to play a different game inside of a game that you paid for. Good thing they fixed it shortly after, otherwise I might have never played this game. I refund shit like that on the spot sometimes. After we passed the combat trial, we talked with the Roman faction's plump leader, and he's literally the dumbest character we've seen so far. I don't mean dumb as in bad, I mean dumb as in he's literally stupid and doesn't know what he's doing. I ask him for help on behalf of my kingdom, and he's trying to negotiate with me. That would be one thing, but he's wheeling and dealing as the same orcs that are attacking us are breaking down his front door as he speaks.
Oh yes, I will help you under one condition, little one. I want blah 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 from you.
Motherfucker, they are here! The orcs are here right now, and they are at the gates to your keep, dude. They're not on the way. They're not almost here. They are attacking you right the fuck now, and you're trying to make deals with me before you can even mobilize your army? I'm not even sure we need your help. Ah, fuck this, I'm leaving. And I'm taking your airship with me, which is pretty cool, actually. So, in order for those diaper-shitting Romans to help us, we have to blow up a fortress that blocks their route to our territory. And to do that, we need a staff. And to do that, we need to find a mage. It's your classic, find a mage to find a staff to blow up a fortress for the Romans sequence. I've seen this hundreds of times before. So let's get to it. Hey, another decent-looking area. I guess it was about time for it. We have a solid atmosphere and good lighting, so naturally we spend the last 90% of the level underground. Or underwater, I should say. We're in some underwater laboratory of some kind, though they really dropped the ball by not having a glass hallway sequence where you can look out and see the underwater landscape. Maybe a skeleton or two chained at the bottom of the lake, or a fish monster, or a skeleton. Fish monsters? Holy heck, they're real! They rush you down, too. They're pretty tough enemies. I recommend walking towards them and attacking them to defeat them. I'm pretty sure most, if not all, this game's enemies are just different models rigged to the same attack animations that everyone else has, which hurts the combat a little bit, but nah. After I flip a lever or two, I'm ambushed by a wizard, Egad. I rush them down, taking a little bit of damage in the process, and beat them until they're just a homogeneous lump of flesh. This must be what the enemies felt like in the earlier levels facing me as the archer before I had good weapons. I actually die a couple times in this room here, but it's due to the solution being vague and unclear. Imagine you're me. You pull this lever, and the room instantly starts filling up with water. What do? You swim up, right? Look for a way out? Yeah, no, what they actually want you to do is pull this lever here. The one that looks exactly like the one that made the room fill with water in the first place. After we solve that vexing puzzle, we find our wizard Zale ensnared in some gruesome-looking trap straight out of a Saw movie. It's a puzzle, oh boy. I'm not excited about this one, given this game's track record with puzzles. Better start pulling these levers on the wall. Looks like a trial and error, guess the order type of puzzle. Yeah, that's some weak shit. I'll bet the... Oh! He died? What? Oh, there's a lever back here. Wow, it just releases him? The puzzle was that there was a red herring and that's it? They somehow found a way to have a puzzle even less fun than the trial and error one that I thought it was gonna be? Wow. I don't think I've seen a puzzle this lazy in a long-ass time. Maybe ever, actually. Zale, the wizard, is ungrateful because of course he is. It's not like I saved you from a horribly slow and violent death, Zale. Keep on talking about how you're superior to me, though. That's good stuff. Why are wizards always such dicks? Besides Gandalf, obviously, and Tom Bombadil, though I think he's just God and not really a wizard at all. Hey, new class, the wizard. This next part has us heading to the underworld. Oh boy, I'm excited to see the underworld. Yeah, just kidding, it sucks. It goes for that ever so common lava caves with red lighting everywhere theme, and it just fails to grab me even a little bit. The enemies are boring, they literally appear in front of you like you're spawning an NPC in Gary's mod. The wizard is fun to play, although the staff I chose here is not nearly as cool as the game made it sound. Destroy with the power of the mind just means that it shoots PNGs at enemies and they die. Oh ho ho! What's this? The sky? In the underworld? What the fuck? There goes the frail illusion that we're deep underground in the literal underworld. The sky is right fucking there! Where are we? Just some cave system out in the desert? Wherever we are, it's not the underworld. These devs are out of their minds. This ruins everything. Oh shit, there's an underworld monster that actually looks kinda cool. Too bad there's a sky up there. We use the staff we find to possess a ghost of the monster, I guess, and fight him kaiju style. This is pretty cool. Or it would be if we were in a different level. This is the worst level so far, I'm not even kidding. This game is like a bag of trail mix, only the raisins are bugs and the cashews are turds. But hey! There's a few M&Ms in there somewhere. Alright, that's it. I'm playing a bonus level. This level left such a bad taste in my mouth. I need to cleanse. This bonus level is called Goblin Attack, or as I like to call it, Goblin Omaha Beach. You'll see why in a minute, but I have to talk about something that's been bothering me first. This game has been trying to brand these little green men as snotlings most of the time, but a lot of the time they just forget about that and call them goblins, you know, because they're fucking goblins. Look at them. If you're gonna take a generic fantasy monster and pretend it's something original by simply calling it a different name, you should at least be fucking consistent with your bullshitting. Oh hey, look guys, my game has this enemy called a Bone Man. We also have Psych Wachowski. Oh, but let's not forget about the Glibglubs. Seriously, it's fantasy. So where's the originality? You can have literally anything you want in this game. Okay, deep breaths, deep breaths. I gotta pace myself here. Let's start the level. It puts you in control of this cannon, and you have to defend your castle from the assaulting goblins. Hey, what gives? They're not even getting close. What is this? What's with this music? Holy shit, am I the bad guy? Take a step back and look at what I'm doing. I'm gunning down hundreds of goblins, and for what? To defend a single fortress? To defend just myself? Just for fun? The goblin community is going to be devastated. It's going to take them several generations to recover from this. I got the gold medal, but the game doesn't end. You can just keep killing and killing and killing. After about 10 minutes of this, I actually start to feel bad, and I decide to let them win just to end the level. While that was way too easy for a bonus level, it still refreshed me. I feel ready for another real level now. This one's fairly short. Zale has us running around getting keys for him so that he can open this door. We fight some witches and some goblins, have a few solid combat encounters, but overall nothing to write home about. The lighting is well done, I'll give it that. Oh, a cutscene! Haven't seen one of these in a while. I can't actually tell if I haven't been paying attention to the story at all, or if it's just been so half-assed that there's not much to pay attention to. There's no connection to the characters at all, I'll tell you that. I'll admit, I had high hopes for the story when I first played this, but when I learned that all the talk of the crevice and the rift between nations was just a backdrop for yet another stop the ancient demon to save the world plot, I almost immediately lost interest. All the characters could die at the end, and I wouldn't even blink. I like how Zale is talking about peace and ending the war without violence during his incantation here, but on the way out, He just fucking blows the cathedral up for no reason?
In the name of peace.
Hello! A nice looking level. About damn time. Looking at the presentation here, I think it's safe to say that we're on the home stretch now. Cramped corridors and close quarters combat. Damn. I picked the wrong level to play as the druid. I'm gonna switch back. This lich laughs cockily and teleports behind me. Oh, ouch. Classic mistake. You see, I've played way too many video games for that to work on me. You'd have to teleport, like, above me if you wanted to trick me. Look up and just see a pair of undead cheeks closing in on me. They always teleport behind you. Damn, these tentacles in green light reminds me of the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim, and that's a good thing, because that DLC is sick. It might actually be one of the best DLCs out there, seriously. Besides Crown of the Ivory King, obviously. I mean, look at this. Oh, a puzzle. Good. I get a little bit pissed off that this staircase is so long, only to realize that it's just teleporting me back after I reach a certain height. I go back to the bottom, and there's a pressure plate, which somehow stops the stairs from teleporting me, even though there's no visual indication whatsoever. Huh? Ugh. Let's just hope this is the last puzzle, shall we? What's this? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have a boss fight. This enemy hasn't been built up at all. I'm pretty sure this is the first time we're seeing her. So the queen's daughter or something is being lowered slowly into the pit, so we have to kill this boss before... Oh. She's already dead. What? Is there a second phase? I'm waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. And... no. I think I killed her way faster than the game expected me to, so now I have to watch what's-her-name float slowly down until she's closer to the ground. Did they playtest this? Ah, whatever. It's time for the final level. I am very happy to say that the game at least doesn't end on a low note. This level has it all. Tough enemies, some halfway intricate level design, and a climactic-ish boss fight. It's not amazing or anything, but this final level is probably one of my favorite levels in the game. Everything about it plays to this game's strengths. Bam! Vatar is dead. Who's Vatar, you ask? Why, the enemy that they mentioned one time in the very beginning of the intro cutscene, of course. How could you forget? And of course, the game concludes with another one of those lame-ass book cutscenes. It's inconclusive and unsatisfying. You defeat the evil creature, but everything still sucks. Congratulations! I hate endings like this. I can tell that they're trying their best with this narrative, it's just that their best isn't that good. And hey, you know what? One perk of having a story that players don't really care about is that nobody is disappointed when the ending sucks. Okay, that's it. See you later. Go on, leave. There's nothing more to see. Damn it. I was hoping you would forget that there was a second campaign. Alright, fine, I'll do it, but we're gonna go fast. Why am I gonna go fast? Well, not only is this video becoming way longer than I wanted it to be, but also I don't really expect much new content with how stretched thin the creativity was in the Light campaign. I'm also gonna rip the band-aid off now and get the story out of the way. It sucks. You basically run around doing various villainous fetch quests for this lady Mordred, who's trying to summon Vatar and bind him to her will so that she can rule the world or whatever. Eventually, though, you find out that she plans to dispose of you once she summons Vatar, because why would she need some peon minion when she has a demon at her disposal? So Vatar reaches out to you and is like, bro, this Mordred lady needs to be more dead, if you know what I mean. She's totally harsh in my vibe. So we kill Mordred for Vatar, Vatar rules the world and makes us his bodyguards or something. The end. There you go, I saved you 6 hours. Now I know what you're saying, but Logan, we don't care about the story. The gameplay is this game's true strength. What about the classes? I hear you, I hear you. Here are the classes you can play as in the Dark campaign. Now, let me simplify it for you. They're exactly the same mechanically as the ones in the Light campaign. You might expect me to be a little bit disappointed about that, but I actually didn't expect new classes or game mechanics, although you do unlock the classes in a different order, so that's something fresh. We can finally summon skeletons though, but they kinda suck ass. What I'm interested in is the levels. Are they gonna just be remixes of the ones that we saw in the Light campaign? That's what I'm expecting, but you never know. Could be something cool. Well, there is some padding, but nowhere near as much as I expected. Some of the levels are the exact same ones from the Light campaign, but you go through them backwards. But most of the ones that aren't padding are actually, like, good. Not even just by this game's standards either. Just look at this. Wow. Floating islands in space? Dragon creature you shoot with ballistas? Trippy visuals? This looks great. There was nothing this interesting in the Light campaign. Oh shit. Green forests, sunset lighting, wide open areas? Yet another good stretch of levels. These more open style levels really let the Archer shine. There wasn't many of these sections before. Full moon, street lamps, gothic architecture, hello. Oh no. What's happening? Am I supposed to shoot them? The half-naked women running away from the orc guy? Oh no, man, what the fuck? Why are the bonus levels always so fucked up? It's a siege. Why is the music gentle flutes? Why did they pick the one time their boring-ass marching band medieval tracks would actually fit well to use a quiet and reserved song? There's also a downright awful close-quarters combat encounter with the boss at the end of this level. That's pretty funny. This one is definitely one of the worst levels in the Dark campaign. Hey, the mines are pretty cool though. I like the ravine. Yeah, there's some atmosphere here for sure. Again, this is miles ahead of the Light campaign in terms of presentation. There is a really silly forced choice at the end of this level though. They give you the chance to go through the evil lady's exit portal or go into this alien-looking obelisk thing. The game makes you play through the entire damn level over again if you don't choose the obelisk-looking portal. It's pretty messed up. There's an anticlimactic fight with the evil lady you've been working for so far here. Another weak level. That makes what? 2 weak levels compared to the 6 or so weak ones from the other part of the game so far? Still a good ratio here. This final level looks good, like the rest of the Dark campaign, and it's hard too. This final encounter is not a joke, like I thought it would be. You have to fight 6 of the radical-looking retainers in this chamber. Thank God you only fight them one at a time. And after that, you fight the Queen, who teleports down into a chamber where she regenerates her health. After dying a couple times here, I decided to cheese her with magic arrows. Bang! One right to the head, and the Queen is dead. Well, that does it for the Dark campaign. The combat encounters were just as fun as the Light campaigns were, only the levels were leagues and leagues ahead of the rest of the game. If you decide to play this game, please play the Dark campaign first. I'm serious, it's that much better. At least the video game portion of it is. The story part is just as bad, I think. Whew, man. Enclave. What a mixed bag, am I right? Don't let my criticism muddy the waters here, though. The game is good. It's fun to hit things and shoot things and find all the bonuses. Choosing what equipment to take in and upgrading your characters is one of my favorite parts of this game. Unfortunately, though, that's pretty much where the praise ends. This game is good, but it's plagued by mediocrity in its writing and presentation. Most of the monsters can be found in every other fantasy game ever made, and a lot of the levels are downright boring, but you can occasionally see the creativity of the people that worked on this game seeping through the cracks in the shell of generic fantasy. The Skara, the Mansion of Dreams level, the first part of the underwater level, seeing all this unrealized potential really makes the cancelled sequel sting. Yeah, that's right. They had a sequel planned. It was going to have a new fighting system, co-op, competitive multiplayer, lots of new weapons, and a story that I might actually give a shit about. It would have been cool to see where they could take things next, but the studio got into some legal trouble before the game could be finished, so this is the only Enclave we ever got. With that said, it's time to ask the question you've all waited the entire video to hear. Should you play this game? Well, I think that there are 3 kinds of gamers that should play Enclave, 2 of which can be illustrated with this reverse bell curve. Take a look. Here, I have how much I think you should play Enclave in a function with how much you like fantasy. Medieval fantasy, to be exact. I think gamers that don't really care that much about fantasy would like Enclave because they don't know what to expect and therefore don't know how much better fantasy can be. On the other end of the spectrum, we have fantasy fanatics. These types of people will eat up anything if there are swords and magic in it, or at least try it out. In my experience, anyways. I myself am somewhere over here, though I haven't watched Game of Thrones. The third and final type of gamer that I think should play Enclave are the gamers that claim to only care about the gameplay, because the gameplay of Enclave is good. I'd even go as far as to say that it's great. This would be perfect for them because the gameplay is the only aspect of the game that's not mediocre. So yeah, if you're one of those 3 types of gamers, you should definitely check out Enclave. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching. I'd like to make more videos like this, but I work slow and get distracted easily by other projects. This script, for example, took me about 3 months of on and off writing to get done. So if you want to see more of this, let me know, and I'll be more motivated to stick to it. Have a great day, night, or morning, and don't forget to brush your teeth.